We always have to pay, the chicken tax. If you don't know what that is, if you have a Frenchie or a little furry friend. Yeah, they hear instantly when you're doing something that they want. I know, you want the whole chicken. Well, hello friend, I'm Caleb with Wyse Guide, and today I am making my favorite creamy wild rice chicken soup. It has everything you want for the winter. It's cozy in a bowl. Let's make it. Everything in front of me makes the perfect wild rice soup. The wild rice itself is the star and it is essential, but the garlic, the onion, the celery, the carrot, and the thyme all play up that flavor with the undertones. The mushrooms are gonna be sauteed with the onion in butter until they are super tender, and then we actually are able to offset the acidity a little bit with some white wine. We have chicken stock to actually poach the chicken and cook the rice. And we're gonna thicken it slightly with some flour, whole milk, and a little bit of cream cheese. Think creamy, dreamy, delicious in a bowl right here. I have the butter melting on the stove, and what I'm gonna do now is just get my onion and my cremini mushrooms going. Now, cremini, baby Bella, I like the brown ones. Yes, you could try to say they have a little more flavor, do they? I mean, that's a hard, probably, taste test really, but I like the color of them and I think they work well in this soup. I'm just gonna quarter them. I brush them with a light brush or a paper towel to get the dirt off. I don't like to soak them in water. I don't like to remove that stem. I always think the stem has flavor. This is kind of the best part, because to me, when you can layer flavor and start it with butter, which to me is one of the best things, it really is going to solidify that these mushrooms and onion gain the flavor we want. So we're gonna put them right in here, and you'll notice I'm not salting yet. Mushrooms will exude a little too much moisture and they won't even begin to brown if you salt them in the beginning. I like to first let them saute. So we're gonna let them saute a few minutes here, and then we'll salt. Some people call me a garlic pusher because not only do I use it all the time, I use it all the time because I also grow a lot of it, like 80 to 100 heads. It's not as much as it sounds like, but it's super easy to grow, and then when you grow it, you have all your own garlic. And it just makes you feel good knowing you grew this and it lasts through the winter. The minced garlic will go in here just for a little bit to get fragrant when the mushrooms and the onion are done. But I like to get everything ready. Not always in the most timely manner, but sometimes. By the way, I grew my carrots. We are using homegrown carrots. These were from the fall harvest. Some of them get huge. Some of them get gnarly. I don't peel them, I scrub them. That's kind of my thing. Even if I buy good carrots, if they're good organic carrots, I scrub them, I don't peel them. It always seems like such a waste if they're in good condition. Now, if you need to peel them because they're not the nicest, do that. But otherwise, it's like, why? The celery and the carrot. I like to chop in I wouldn't say I mince it. I kind of like to keep it a little bit of a size that it keeps some texture. I don't like vegetables that go to mush. I like them to maintain some texture. It is gonna have a decently long cooking time because we wanna cook the wild rice, obviously. Notice that my celery had leaves. I removed those, but I am saving those. Those have so much flavor. I think of them as kind of an interesting parsley. Parsley can sometimes be one note, but you know what isn't? Celery leaves. So since my carrot is a little bit kind of, fun-sized, we will definitely break it down. But look at that beautiful garden carrot. By the way, my thing with gardening, you're all at once gonna realize what a vegetable should taste like. So same with a farmer's market if you go. But if you get homegrown carrots, they taste like a carrot. And it's good. It's like nuanced, so different than just a grocery store carrot. Just saying. So we can grab the garlic. It smells so good. And we can put it right in here so we have some great color on the mushrooms and the onion. Love that. With the garlic, I don't want it to cook for too long like the onions did because I think it can get burned sometimes and get a little acrid. So I now will salt it. We're, again, layering our seasonings. Always season throughout when you're making something. Some freshly cracked black pepper. I'm gonna stir this just so I can warm up the garlic. I smell it instantly. It doesn't really need to heat on its own or saute longer than that. Add in a little bit of white wine. Now, if you don't wanna add the white wine, don't add the white wine. What I do like that it does is, it has kind of a balanced acidity. And what we're gonna do is actually cook it out mostly. A little bit, of course, stays in there. But this adds that whole kind of element of flavor. A little bit of the acidity really brings out the flavor of everything else. So I'm gonna let it mostly evaporate, and then we're gonna add the rest of our vegetables we just chopped. The wine has mostly evaporated, which you can just tell. And by the way, if you're ever in doubt, wine and butter cooked together with mushrooms, onion, There's nothing wrong with that in garlic. So now we can really add everything else in. We have our celery and our carrot that we chopped up. Perfect. We have wild rice that is rinsed. I love wild rice. You know, it's actually higher in protein and fiber than refined rice or white rice. And I like the texture it has. I love it. We're gonna add that right in because it's rice. It takes a while to cook, right? And then, as odd as this may be, you can give it a stir if you want, you don't have to, but why not coat the rice in that butter? Then what I'm gonna do, and this is kind of an interesting part, but my chicken I like to just poach when I'm making a soup, if I can, in the soup. Because that way, think about it, all the flavor is just staying together, and then we can just shred the chicken and take it out when it's done. To me, this is like, it's making it easier, less work, right? So we have the chicken right in there. We're gonna put our vegetable, or chicken stock in this case, right in here too. And that chicken is just going to poach while the rice cooks. We could be done. Or if you're like me and forget, we add the thyme in now. Thyme is really gonna add the flavor we want. It goes well with chicken, rice, add that in now. Cover it and let it cook. I pulled the chicken out. I like to pull it out actually 5 degrees ahead, so at 160 degrees, and then as it sits, I tint it with foil, and it comes up to 165 degrees. That way you don't overcook it. Poaching it, so easy. All that flavor is in there, and yes, right now it's just poached chicken, but the thing is, it's great chicken to add back to it, right? And it's not overcooked. So I'm shredding it, which honestly, shredding is one of those things that in my head looks beautiful as you're doing it. And then you realize you kind of look like a hot mess as you're doing it and you're just shredding this meat. But I'm using 2 forks and I'm just going through and doing big shreds. I actually like the irregularity of the shreds. I think it's nice in a soup, it's heartier, makes big pieces, but I did let it cool before I did it. So if you want to do it by hand, you could do that. Have you guys done the mixer method? People like to put it in their like stand mixer with the paddle attachment until it's shredded. My thing is, okay, that dirties the bowl. I hate cleaning that bowl and the paddle and that's just too much work. I just do it this way. The rice is tender. It doesn't look like much now, but this is when we kind of finish it up, which is the fun part. So this is chicken done. That's why it's not in there. Smells really good. I actually always think wild rice smells a little bit like a black tea, which I don't mind. So we have some whole milk, a little bit of all-purpose flour. This is where we want to make it the beginning of making it creamy, but also just a little bit more, texture to it. So I'm whisking that flour into the milk. You always want to whisk flour or any type of thickener into something cold. If you just mixed it and whisked it into the hot liquid, it would clump up. So you can see, just kind of a liquidy, nothing much, right? And I took this off the heat on purpose. So what I'm gonna do is just slightly whisk. It's not too big a deal now that it's off heat, but we're gonna just be pouring this in. And you may notice at this point it gets a little bit thicker just because of the residual heat, obviously. But this isn't the full effect yet, and that's exactly how it should be. So don't worry about that. Don't think, well, this isn't that thick or creamy yet. No, it's not. It's just the beginning stages. But actually, it completely already changed into what I would say is a more traditional looking wild rice soup. So we're gonna put this back on the heat to activate all that flour. This is just beginning to come to a simmer. I can actually tell it's getting thicker. Soon we're gonna add a small amount of cream cheese. So the tanginess, the beautiful flavor, of course, but this is really the last final creaminess that we're adding. And believe me, it just melts into this soup and it really kind of makes the best texture. With this, I'm adding all of that shredded chicken, any of the broth that was with it or that stock, we're gonna put right back in too. We're gonna heat everything through, melt that cream cheese. This is ready to serve. And let me tell you something, it smells really good. And in just a couple minutes after you add everything, it's ready to go. Everything is heated through, that cream cheese is melted. You can pull out, if you find those thyme leaves, just pull them out. The thyme all breaks off of it. It's so much easier than actually stripping thyme and chopping the leaves. Like, why have we spent years doing that? We don't need to. You just put them in and then look, no leaves left, it's wonderful. This smells really good, and what I like is you see the pieces of vegetable. You see the carrots, you see the celery, the mushrooms. Like I said, I like to chop up those celery leaves, so I did that. Parsley too. The thing is, a little bit of green does add kind of a brightness at the end, or squeeze a lemon. Those are all things you can do just to brighten it up, but look at this beautiful richness. It's creamy, which is exactly in the winter. While it's hearty and full of good things, the creaminess is just kind of that hug. That's what I like, right? And a little bit of green. It's just like we're professionals when we add green. Makes you feel, but it smells really good because it's those celery leaves. But then you can just go in. It's comforting, well seasoned. Always adjust for seasoning at the end if you want to. but it's so good. That creaminess is not overdone, it's just enough. The rice keeps that al dente texture, which I love. That's what I love about wild rice. It does not just become mush, and it doesn't just kind of soak up too much. It maintains a beautiful texture. You see it, you see the big hearty pieces of chicken. This is winter comfort in a bowl. It's really simple. It has some great protein. It has great fiber. It has so many elements going on that are really gonna feed you well. Make this soup, share it around. Bringing people together is the point of food. Check my website, wiseguide.com, for this and many more recipes, because the spice of life is what? In the food. Enjoy.